Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of the Bobby Bones Show.
So you got the full album out, and you've had 3 EPs before that, but The Future's Neon came out in early August and is doing great.
Thanks.
And you're out touring with it.
Yeah, so I'm out like every single weekend between like now and the end of the year. This is my first full-length album. Put it out on my own label, which is exciting. So just out there trying to make it all happen, man. Working the socials, doing all this stuff, touring while socials, and then writing full-time as well, because that's really kind of been my main gig for a good number of years.
Well, and you've co-written hit songs for like Jason Aldean and for all of these, huge artists, and it's got to feel pretty good, having hit songs with them, and now with your album getting such rave reviews, and everybody, I love the songs on it. They certainly speak to your influences. To where it's not just country, you got the blues, you got the southern rock in there.
Man, I got all kinds of stuff on, and that's kind of, I had like what I thought was like a pretty me sound on my first 3 EPs, but I was like, man, looking at this record, I had so many songs that were a little bit different. Like some things feel more 90s country, some things feel more, this the Little Less Mercy song feels like Foo Fighters almost, So but it's still blues, it's like blues rock,
Right.
So but then I got some really country, some southern rock. So I had so many different influences that I pull from, and bands that I enjoy, artists that I love, that I thought it would be a cool way to do this record. Obviously, the single is probably the most me kind of southern
which
rock
is getting a
feel
lot
song
of
all I think
airplay
about lately. But I just wanted to show another side of the music that I love and what I like to create. And and being my first record, I thought it was a cool. Started at the end of 2020, really kind of putting this record together,
right.
and starting to hop into the studio and mess around with stuff, and finished it probably almost a year before the record came out. But it just takes so long. I mean, being a co-writer on some of those hit songs with
Many.
Morgan Wallen's Up Down and Jameson's Some Girls are my 2 #1 songs, which is crazy to think. But those songs were written in like 2015, 2016, so
right.
it just takes time for everything in the music. You just people don't realize how Lordy, do the wheels turn slow, in the music business.
But essentially you're an instant success then.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I got signed, so I moved to town, went to Belmont in 2010. As I graduated, I signed a publishing deal with Brad Paisley's company, Seagale Music, in 2014. So I've been a professional songwriter since 2014, but it just takes a while for things to start catching on. I did have my first cut with Jerrod Niemann in 2015 with a song called Blue Bandana, which was a really early success, early compared to what it just takes to get songs out there into the world. But I've been super blessed, and I love making my own music. I love writing songs for other people. But it's just really it's just so much more, I don't know, rewarding when you're getting out there and playing the shows and seeing the reactions. It's great, and I love to go see Morgan Wallen and some of these guys sing the songs, and see the crowds loving them. I mean, that's a great feeling too.
Well, and I gotta brag on you some too, CJ, to where you've been sharing stages with Lynyrd Skynyrd. You're doing shows with 38 Special.
Yeah.
I mean, you're rolling with some big wheels on stage here.
Those are my real deal heroes. I mean, as much as I'm a big country music guy, but southern rock, which I feel like is country music,
Totally.
That's the stuff that I like. That was my first love. That was my first love. Obviously, if you know the hat, you know that I'm a southern rock kind of guy. And that's really what like my absolute roots were, and then I kind of grew into country music from southern rock.
Yeah.
So it's a dream come true. If I could tell 12, 13-year-old me that I was going to be opening for Skynyrd and 38 Special and Hank Jr. and and some of those guys, I mean I wouldn't believe, or writing #1 songs, any of those things. It's so easy to like get into that hustle where you're just not even celebrating the things, because you're just like, oh, you're always looking at the next thing. But it's like, man, it's cool to step back and be like, what would 12-year-old me be excited about? They would just 12-year-old me would just be excited that I'm able to like make a living playing music,
and writing hit songs.
And it's such a blessing, and so fun.
The picture with you and Lynyrd Skynyrd was priceless, but it cracked me up when you first came into the studio and you're like going, yeah, I'm doing some shows with 38 Special, and you sounded like going, yeah, I'm jamming with Eric down at the corner. It's like, no, that's 38 Special.
I know, dude, and they're so cool, and they sound so good. Yeah, all those guys are awesome, and great shows, and the fans that go see those are really great music fans too. So I love getting on the road with all those people.
Well, I got to ask you this too, man, to where your song is being used by Vandy for this season. How did that work out?
That was pretty cool. So they just reached out to my manager. I had the title track to the album is "The Future's Neon," and they just loved it, and they wanted to use it, and they're putting it in some of the broadcasted, they're using it as like a song in the broadcasted stuff. So that's pretty wild. That song was actually inspired by a Zoom co-write during 2020 where my buddy Jim McCormick and Blake Griffith that I wrote it with were in Louisiana and I was here.
Right.
And we were writing on Zoom. And Jim was like, man, I just feel like when we get out of COVID, there's going to be a lot of neon in these country music listeners' fans. Like he was trying to be all like prophetic about it. And I was like, all right, let's write a song about whatever, so it's cool.
It's a great song.
Thanks, dude. It's one of my favorites. And it seemed like that mentality from 2020 was what I wanted to, as soon as we wrote it, I was like, if nobody cuts this is going to be my title track to my album, because I love picking a song that, as I call it, the North Star of a project, and that was kind of the North Star for that. Just going, man, this is what I kind of just telling that story and how just looking at coming out of obviously what we all went through, and just wanting to kind of shed a little, there was a little neon light at the end of the tunnel, as Blake Shelton would say. So, yeah.
I think it's awesome. Well, I got to bring this up too. So, being raised in Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and you came to the Opry the first time when you were 12 years old with your family. What does it feel like now? You've already been on the Opry stage twice.
We made that trip. And we got to see we did the Ryman tour, we did the Opry tour, and then we went to the Opry, and we saw, which was really a crazy thing for me, Blake Shelton, Dierks Bentley, and Brad Paisley. So a full circle moment signing to Brad's publishing company later. But so that was kind of what made me. Because I started playing guitar when I was 7. So I'd been playing guitar for a couple of years. Obviously, when you're a little kid, you're not very good, or at least I wasn't. But I saw those guys on stage, and I just thought, that's what I want to do. Mm-hmm. So when I moved to town, that was kind of a really you've kind of made it thing, and so I got to do it at the end at 2019. I got to make my debut. And obviously, we know what happened shortly after that. But I was so thankful to be back this year, and just an amazing, stage. I mean, you just feel like, you're only playing 2 or 3 songs because they have so many people performing, but it's just, it's nerve-wracking. I don't get nervous that much anymore, but, stepping into the circle, there's just so much history and stuff. There's just a presence that you just feel while you're up there, and it's really magical. So I had to start adding new things to the bucket list because I feel like,
keep fulfilling them.
Well, I guess I checked it a little earlier than I anticipated. So it was kind of
and the pictures and videos with you on the Opry stage are just amazing, especially knowing you. And it's like going, that's right. And you've got ASCAP award, Nashville Songwriter award. It's like you're accomplishing so much, and it seems like things are really moving in the right direction. You got some cool tour stuff planned this fall also.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm out every weekend. I've been doing hitting all these oyster bars. It's called the Shuck and Shack. They have they've been doing a big songwriter tour. So I've been hitting a ton of their locations. They're big songwriter fans, but they love what I was doing and asked me to come play all their spots. I've been hitting those, as well as with the dates like 38 Special and clubs, fairs, theaters, just all over the country. Which is, that in itself is a real dream come true. Just getting to get out there and play the music for the people. I mean, that's I got a great group of guys that come on the road and play with me, and I'm just super lucky to have them playing. I've had the same drummer for 12 years, and my other guys have been with me 5 and 3 years now.
Amazing.
So it's just a great group of guys that we've really got a tight thing going, and I love it. It's amazing.
for your website, for social media, which you're doing some cool stuff on social media, for everything CJ Solar, and for the new album, where should they go?
Well, cjsolar.com. I have, merchandise, physical copies of the CD if you're old school, which is crazy to think that CDs are old school now. Unbelievable. But anywhere you stream music, anywhere that all the socials, I'm pretty much on everything. So follow me on your desired, your poison.
Yeah, your favorite platform. And also
favorite.
be sure and catch him on tour with 38 Special and possibly another tour to be announced this fall that will be a little more intimate with songwriter stuff going on, which has not been announced yet. But be sure and follow CJ Solar and check out the album, add it to your playlist. Amazing songs. If you like Southern rock with your country, it's a great mix, and some blues. The future's neon. CJ Solar, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of the Bobby Bones Show.